your favorite Yub's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the recently released Hot Toys Princess Leia in her indoor getup along with Wicket. And Wicket is surprisingly better than I thought he was going to be. But there's also some interesting changes that have gone on with the Hot Toys model in regards to Leia. So we're going to talk about all of them. We're going to talk about them individually. We're going to talk about them as a joint purchase. But first, we're going to talk about accessories. So they both come with fairly similar display bases with the kind of silver plate, Princess Leia obviously, and Wicket, and the Wicket has the smaller tension clamp here, and then Leia has the one between the crotch, and then we have the kind of forestry ground base there, and then it also comes with three different side pieces, so to speak, and I mean, you can really put these wherever your little heart desires. They are corner pieces and a side piece, so to speak, or a front piece, another corner piece. And they're done really nice. Let me back out a little bit. They're done really nice. There's, as you can see, it's a base brown, and then we have gray paint added, dry brushing of green, like this orangish color, a lighter shade of green, obviously the gray and the lighter shade of gray, plus all of the leaves are glued in, and then they are dry brushed as well. So it's a nice display base. There are like these little little spots that I feel like can hold something else, but I don't know what they're meant to hold. I don't see anything else that they're meant to hold. So one of Life's little mysteries rather. And then we have the tree trunk here that's also done nice, and everything else is pretty much done the same. Wicket comes with two sets of additional hands. We have left and right holding hands. We have the kind of like space cracker holding hand or space popcorn, and then a gesturing hand, as well as the two relaxed hands that you saw in the opening footage. They're all kind of decoed the same way with the exception of the space popcorn, and we'll talk about that when we get to the figure. He also comes with two replacement wrist pegs. They plug into the forearm, they plug into the hand, and then there's a ball hinge in the middle, so you'll be able to get up, down, and in, out, and swivel it to get either way. Leia also comes with some hands. She comes with a trigger finger hand, she comes with a holding hand left and right, and then she comes with the more open closed hand, so to speak. All deco the same way, which we'll also get to when we get to the figure. Plus she has the two relaxed hands that we saw in the opening footage. She also comes with two ball hinge pegs if you should break yours while swapping out hands. Once again, they plug into the hand, they plug into the forearm, plus there's a ball hinge in the middle, so you get up, down, or in, out, depending on which way you swivel each section of the hand to forearm. Wicket comes with two drumsticks, and they're pretty much done identically. We have the base brown, we have the orange kind of cloth leather wrapped around it, and then the string wrapped around it. It's all sculpted. It's not like it's soft goods or anything. Then we have a wash on the wood, so to speak, and a dry brush on it as well. That goes for up here as well with the black line work, and then the kind of dry brushing of dirt and filth and all that kind of stuff. And then the actual strings are kind of a different color as well. And he'll hold those just fine. Wicket also comes with the spear. It's a long spear. It has a wash on the wood. All the wood is sculpted. Has the little leather wrap once again with layers of paint on it. And then the ropes up here are two different shades of green. They have an additional wash as well. Then we have the spearhead, which is a darker color, and then dry brushed with two shades of gray. And then it looks like it has a little bit of green on it as well for the stone. And it's sculpted beautifully. And he'll hold that as well with no problem. The set comes with two helmets, two different Imperial helmets. This one is kind of the two plastic pieces, and then we have some dry brushing around some of the edges. And I'll tell you, the dry brushing is not the most elegant. Some places look better than others, but some don't look as good as we've seen them do in the past. It's ultimately fine, but it's still worth noting that it's surprisingly not quite as great as what you might expect. Stormtrooper helmet is done much better with the kind of gross decay of the forest taking its toll on his helmet. It looks really good. It's around all the edges of the armor. That's in addition to the base paint that's on the armor of the white plus the gray and black details around the face. Tremendous sculpt work. They've got it down. They've been doing them enough. And then you have the kind of inside details. You got where the lens are for the eyes, the mouth plate, all of that stuff. It's all painted inside. It's a shame you can't see it all from here, but just take my word for it. It is beautifully and masterfully done. Leia comes with her pistol. It's sculpted beautifully and has a very subtle silver dry brush across it. Looks fantastic. She'll hold that just fine in her trigger finger hand. It can also fit securely in her holster. She also comes with her wristwatch, for lack of a better term. It's done well enough, sculpted well. Then you got little painted details on the buttons and knobs, and even the screen has a glossy coat of black on it to give it like a proper screen look. All the wristwatch details, including the little clasp, are all sculpted on in the back. In order to use it, you just take off a hand, put the wristwatch on, and I'll probably leave it on for the rest of the review, and then put the hand back on, and you're good to go. She also comes with her helmet, very similar to the Luke one. Beautifully done. We have the soft goods up here, and it's all soft. So, like, there's some give to it. Then the leather parts are all sculpted really well, shaded, painted. We have dry brushing. We have silver paint applied for the worn look of the helmet. We have the brim that's a different kind of texture. The straps down here. It's just beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. To apply the helmet, you just take off the back part of the hair, and then you can take the helmet. And they actually advise that you just take the head off, I believe, and insert. And it does it's a tight fit, so be mindful of the paint and stuff. And then we'll just add it back on, and we're good to go. And then she also comes with her poncho. The camouflage looks great. No issues whatsoever. Yeah, the two slits for her belt, the browns, the greens, it just all works really well, and it has a kind of wire seam so you can pose it up a bit as well. To take that on, you just take the belts off here, and there's Velcro straps there to keep them in place. You have to take off this belt piece here, which is just a little tricky to get around the Velcro. Sorry, I had to do that off camera. And then take your belt back through your slits in your poncho, and same on this side. And then the poncho goes over the head, and then you Velcro your two pieces back around. Good grief, it's hard to do when you're like looking at it. I'm not good with this stuff anyway, but there. And now you've got it in service. Likeness wise, it's actually a bit off. So like sculpt and fur wise, it's pretty close, but the fur doesn't look as mangy. That's probably just challenging to do. However, it's the headdress that just looks like a totally different color. It's like more worn brown, where like his in the movie is like more of an orangish color. But they do have like the seams right of like the cross stitching across the forehead that kind of goes back between the ears and like a crescent type shape. All of that works and all of that looks good. It's just kind of the color palette is wrong. Moving out to the full view is kind of the same thing. I feel like the browns aren't quite right, especially the lighter shades. I think it works better for the face than it does for the belly, but the belly just doesn't look warm. It looks like you just got out of the bath, like you just came up from the stream. But yeah, it's not quite right, is it? It's funny because when I got it out of the box, I was just taken by it because it felt awesome to me, and it still feels awesome to me in hand, but comparing it directly to the picture next to it, it's like, oh yeah, this isn't quite right. Looking at the likeness for Leia, I mean, obviously it's a different facial expression, but I just feel like they nailed it. They nailed it again. They've done a really good job with the two Empire Leias and now this Jedi Leia. They've really done a good job of just completely knocking it out of the park. Actually, to be fair, the last Jedi Leia as well. They all have been pretty much money. As for the look of her suit, and we're going to pay more attention to this suit as opposed to the poncho, because the poncho covers up so much of it, but it looks pretty much money. The shirt, the shape of the sleeves over top of the shirt, the pockets on the shirt, the little doodads on the upper part of the shirt, all the stitch marks across the upper part of the shirt. The pants are maybe more baggy on the Hot Toys than they should be, but the boots look right. Everything else looks pretty much dead to rights. Let's go over Sculpt and Plastic. So we have the eyes, they're a different color, and they do have the gloss on them, and it looks good. Same with the lips, and the teeth are sculpted and painted underneath. The nose is sculpted and painted as well. The bear suit fits fairly well across it all. And then the hands and toes are painted, which basically means the toenails and fingernails are painted and washed and perhaps even dry brushed, and so is the texture of the skin as well. As for the sculpt and paint of Leia, first of all, the face, which is just amazing. Absolutely gorgeous. The hair is sculpted beautifully. The braids look great. It hides the seam, like to take it off and everything. Like, it just looks so good. The hair is 3 different shades of brown. Plus you have the wisps that hang below her ears, or in front of her ears rather. The lightness is so good. The eyes are beautiful. The proportions are great. Can't say enough good about it. Then you had this little thing on her chest here. Tons of sculpted detail, plus the 2 turquoise pieces are painted. I think the whole thing is washed and this little black piece is painted. The arms are shaded subtly, and so are the hands with kind of the typical like speckled look on the hands. But that's about it. There's not a ton of sculpt and paint work on her. The boots are sculpted, even the little bottom part of the heel. And the neck and all that stuff is all shaded and sculpted and looks really good. They did a really good job with her. As for soft goods with Wicket, we just pretty much have the hood. We've already talked about the color. It is worn, like the paint job looks great. Like all the little like paint that got up in the crevices of the fabric looks fantastic. All the stitching looks like huge and disproportionate, but like in the right way, if that makes sense. Like the same way the Ewoks were. It's really worn, and it's the wrong color. It really is, but it does look good. Like it's an objective good job. It's just not very faithful. And then we have the fur, which is probably the. Oh, you know what? There is a little bit of dirt on the fur down here that I didn't notice. Same on the mouth. It's just perhaps not enough. I wonder if you could tough this up a bit and kind of play with it to get it where you want it. But I mean, it's really well done in terms of its application. Like, it looks far better than I feel like the Wookiees have looked in the past. Like, they did a really nice job with it. Soft goods for Leia, we have this outer shirt, which is the same material as this inner shirt, and I feel like it's the same material as the pants, which isn't my favorite. I like it when they break up the materials a little bit more drastically, and there might be some subtle differences, but they're definitely all within the same wheelhouse. And they're all, like, the stitching, like the size on this one looks a little big, but like the brown one looks good, and then the blue one looks good. So this might just be accurate. I'm not entirely sure, but it doesn't get in the way. We have the pleather looks on the little pouches here and on the holster, as well as the boots. They've nailed the boots. They've got that down. Like the whole formula just works. The stripe on the pants, like that stitching looks a little big, but it's in the back. So who's ever gonna notice? I'll tell you what, they could have given her a little bit of love there, though. She's she was a little bit slightly more curvy than this, but that's okay. It still looks really good, and we'll get to articulation here soon, but it doesn't impede the articulation much as a spoiler. Articulation-wise for Wicket, he's actually pretty posable. So I think it's a double ball peg from the head into the neck. Excuse me, you can get his head down to there, which is pretty nice, up to there. The swivel, confused bear look, works really well. Seems to be some sort of joint in his waist, but the amount you get out of it is very subtle. The arms feels like a disc hinge to me. Double jointed elbow that gets you the full run. Bicep swivel. You can get the arm up to there. I'm gonna guess it's a disc hinge because I can't figure out. There it is. And then around at least 90 degrees forward and back. Then you have, obviously, all the wrist articulation that we covered. Same for the other side. And then we have the legs, which feel like a ball peg to me. They get you out to there, like when he's getting zapped by R2, so that'll work. Forward, I mean, it doesn't really stay, but you do get it. You have a single hinged knee, and then an ankle tilt down, up, and a bit of a rocker, plus a thigh swivel. So he's pretty effective for what he is. So there's some new stuff going on with articulation with Leia. Stuff that I've also been talking about. So, double ball peg from the head into the neck. Seamless body for the upper body. Single ball peg from the neck into the chest. And now, even with the head kind of getting cut right behind the ear in typical Hot Toys fashion that limits the articulation, now watch. No problem. Down to there, up to there. Confused Leia, swivel, no problem whatsoever, works perfectly. Disc hinge shoulder that goes into a ball peg in the chest, that gets you a little bit of a butterfly forward and back, gets you up to 90 degrees, and gets you all the way up, so to speak, and a good bit back, so no issues. Bicep swivel, I don't know exactly, it's at a cut joint right here. Double jointed elbow. It is a bit of, I wish they would have used the seamless body here as well, because the double jointed elbow is a bit unsightly. And then we have the wrist articulation that we've already talked about. Same for the other side. Now, we have a double ball peg, it feels like, from the chest into the abdomen. and then a single from the abdomen into the pelvis. Once again, it works really well. So you can now get her bent over a fair bit. It's not insane, but for Hot Toys, it's pretty good. And back, no issues. And the swivel, perfect. It's perfect. No issues. All right. Feels like a universal for hips. Try not to split her pants here, but fairly far out to the side. Fairly forward, front and back. Thigh swivel, a little tight on mine. Double jointed knee for the full run. Ankles are probably on a double ball peg. Get you an ankle tilt down, up, and a rocker. Just a very well executed figure. And there it is, kind of in a DTOF, and it probably won't be its last place, but I'm pretty happy with that. Final thoughts wise, let's start with the negatives, and they mainly center around Wicket, mainly that the colors seem a little bit off, both for his fur and also for his hood. And if I had to nitpick anything else, I would probably say that her pants are a little baggy. They should be probably a little bit more fit. However, it also allows for the articulation, so it's a trade-off. It's whatever you prefer in that regard, and I think at this point with my Hot Toys collection, I personally have come to the point where I would rather have the fit than the articulation for the most part. It's not like I'm going to be having her doing a jumping run pose on my shelf. Plenty of positives though. Leia's sculpt is absolutely beautiful. The paint is absolutely beautiful. The fur on the Ewok works better than you would expect. The bases are beautiful. It's the appropriate amount of accessories and they all integrate well. You have costume design options with Leia. Leia and Wicket, both of them, their articulation works surprisingly well. Better than most Hot Toys. Plus we get the new updated ball peg from the neck to the chest with Leia, which I've been talking about for I feel like years. But yeah, I just can't say enough. It presents well. Good sculpt, good soft goods, good articulation, good paint. What more do you want from a set? Strong recommend from me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.